Welcome back, everybody.
Dynamite intro, Mrs. Lush. Sweetheart, today I'm going to have to ask the team to give us a couple of tinfoil hats, please. Because it's time to get conspiratorial or something. I don't actually know. They just labeled this one tinfoil hat. So let's see what they have for us.
The most disturbing things ever said by astronauts. In 2003, Chinese astronaut Yang Liwei was the first person from China to go to space. He was sent up all alone. Suddenly, at one point during the mission, he hears a knocking sound on the outside of his spaceship. He recalls it as someone knocking the body of the spaceship, like hitting an iron bucket with a wooden hammer. He wasn't even able to recreate it, and to this day, experts have no idea what it could have been. During the Apollo 11 mission in 1969,
I mean, it's almost like there's maybe debris in space.
Unexpectedly switches to a medical communication channel and spoke directly to the chief medical officer, saying, and I quote, "They're here, they're parked on the side of the crater, they're watching us." This was revealed in a documentary by former NASA employee Ken Johnston, but the original recordings are of course highly classified. Rumored to be a part of the infamous Apollo 11 missing 2 minutes, where on record Mission Control lost radio contact with the astronauts due to technical difficulties. In another 1995 documentary interview, former NASA astronaut Franklin Story Musgrave claimed to have been followed by a white 8-foot-long snake floating through space, saying,
That's pretty
quote,
lit.
"On 2 of my missions, and I still don't have an answer, I have seen a snake out there, 6, 7, 8 feet long. He said it appeared rubbery and followed him for quite a long time, floating in or near Earth's stratosphere." In the same interview, Musgrave also cryptically states that other civilizations have been around for millions of years that are doing unimaginable kinds of things. But you know, they were probably all just joking. Most disturbing.
I love this guy.
What was he
These stories are all real, or maybe space is fake and they're all lies.
Oh my god.
I don't have a lot of time for people that don't believe in pretty basic scientific ideas like space and Earth not being flat. But the space thing's funny because there are a lot of stories of people going through moments of psychosis. Like there's a million reasons you might go a little loopy. How long are you up there for? You're in this little confined little capsule for months. Like, yeah, you're going to maybe see some I think the craziest, the conspiracy that us going to the moon was like staged and fake and like a recording in Hollywood.
I didn't know that was a thing.
You didn't know that there's a lot of people that think the moon landing was fake?
Nope.
God bless you. Listen, I'm not saying I know, because the government has been shown to do some pretty crazy shit. But that one would be a little wild. It is curious, though, that when, I mean, that happened in what, the 60s, the moon landing? Like the idea that we had the technology to do that and then we haven't since done it again seems a little strange, doesn't it? Elon's got rockets that fly to space and then land themselves. Well, I guess we're more worried with Mars now because it's like potentially inhabitable. It'll be a while before that happens, but space is definitely real, I'll tell you that much.
When you finish this video, you're going to Google
Mr. Ballin.
2 words. In 1959, 9 very experienced Russian hikers set off on a 16-day expedition into the mountains. 7 days in and some bad weather forced them to make camp about halfway up a mountain. The last pictures of them alive were taken at this campsite. When the hikers never showed up, they sent out a search party who quickly found their campsite, and it was immediately apparent that something horrible had happened to them. All their tents had been slashed open, but from the inside, and inside the tents was all their gear, neatly folded and stacked inside the remains of the tents. No bodies, but 9 sets of footprints walking away from the camp. Using the footprints, they discovered 5 hikers who were only dressed in underwear who had died of hypothermia. They found the other 4 hikers 250 feet away in a riverbed wearing the clothes of their dead hiker friends. They had skull fractures, chest fractures, eyes, tongue, lips missing, and their bodies were radioactive. Official cause of death? Unknown compelling force.
Radioactive?
You wonder how stories like this, like obviously this story happened, but how much of it is kind of like telephoned through the years? Where it's like, did they just get bashed by a polar bear?
Right.
Did somebody get hypoxia from being
to
on
add
that?
the radioactive part.
Yeah, like what? Or does that just happen to be radioactivity in the area, completely unrelated? But now all these years later, it makes for a pretty sweet story, and it makes Mr. Ballin billions of dollars. He has a podcast now. Amazon Prime paid him I don't even know how much they paid him, but generational wealth to just like tell funny, scary stories on the podcast. Incredible. Jealous. I wish I was Mr. Ballin, is what I'm
In
saying.
1970, a man and his 2 daughters noticed a strange burning smell while hiking.
True crime.
It seemed to get stronger as they moved forward until they finally found its source, the body of a woman laid across a rock. Her possessions were laid ritualistically in a circle around her, with every single label and logo destroyed. She had severe burns all over the front of her body, making her completely unidentifiable. While this was already a strange case, it seemed to only get weirder with each piece of evidence they discovered, such as her 2 suitcases that were abandoned in a train station. Inside were standard traveling possessions, again with the labels removed, but more notably, a notepad with coded messages scribbled inside. Police also found money stashed in the lining of the suitcase, and several wigs. But here is where it truly gets weird. A man on a nearby hike reportedly witnessed the woman walking with 2 men 5 days before her body was found. She was dressed very lightly for the hike, and when he walked by, the woman seemed like she was about to say something to him, but she stopped herself. He went to the police to report this, but they told him to forget about it. When her notepad was decoded, it revealed a list of dates and hotels that she stayed in across Europe. She used a different identity at each one. Her autopsy revealed that there was soot in her lungs, meaning she had been burned alive, and she also consumed over 50 sleeping medications. Because she carried several passports, wigs, and left minimal traces anywhere she went, it's widely believed that she was a spy who was discovered by opposing intelligence. However, it's very unlikely that we'll ever know for certain.
That's the part that I can't stand. Like, this would make for a great episode of True Detective, or like a nice little miniseries on Apple
Netflix
TV.
Miniseries, yeah.
But a 90-second TikTok just doesn't rustle my jimmies. It's like, cool, like you just fit in what would have been a cool season of television into 90 seconds with a red silhouette, AI-generated bullshit. But people still swing from the nuts of that. They love it. They can go speculate in the comments about it. It just makes me more mad having watched it than having not.
Have you ever heard of the Voynich manuscript? The mysterious medieval book that is written in a language that no one has ever been able to translate and is full of illustrations of plants that don't exist?
It's just an early acid trip.
The 240-page manuscript was named after Wilfrid Voynich, who was an antiquarian bookseller who discovered it and purchased it in 1912. Some of the most famous cryptologists, scholars, and scientists in the world have tried to decipher it since then, and it has lived in the rare book and manuscript library in Yale University since 1969. It's been broken into 6 sections based on the illustrations, which are botany, astronomy and astrology, biology, cosmology, pharmaceutical, and a section that they think are probably recipes. Nobody knows exactly when or where it was created, but extensive research suggests that it was created probably in Central Europe, and radiocarbon dating links it to likely the early 15th century. People have dedicated decades of their lives to trying to decipher this book, and in the 600 years since it was created, no one has been able to. So do you think it was written by a lost civilization, or is this just a masterful example of early trolling?
Trolling.
That's a great question. You think someone went to that length to write a book in a language that didn't exist?
I have no idea.
I know, it's
Don't know,
true.
don't care.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting because it seems very extensive.
There is a secret side of
here you
Disney
go.
World
There you
the
go, hon.
company doesn't want you to see.
We're back.
If you look at a map
Don't
of
you
the park,
f***ing dare.
there's
Don't
a-
you f***ing dare. Don't.
It's about to f*** our world up right now.
This better not be anything bad. I know.
Isn't that kind of weird that they would abandon Discovery Island?
Whatever, just let me see it.
There's a little green spot in the middle of
That's right near where we're at.
That's where we're staying.
Yeah, that's right across from, that's the Contemporary, right? Right there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bay Lake. Now, there's no description
we're not
of
staying
what
at
it is,
Contemporary.
and it's completely off limits to everyone, including employees.
Got a dog.
Around 20 years ago, this mysterious island was actually another Disney park called Discovery Island. You'd take a boat from shore, arrive at the island, and basically look at exotic birds.
Here you go.
Fast forward to 1999, Animal Kingdom opens, and it's basically a bigger and easier to get to version of Discovery Island.
Yeah.
This sparked the
Way
very
bigger.
quick decline of the island. Today, it's abandoned and in ruins, completely overrun by nature. It's also heavily guarded. If you're anywhere near Bay Lake, you can be assured that you're being watched. It makes you wonder if there's more to this island than Disney is letting on.
Definitely not, but I love that you can just make funny little conspiratorial videos like that with cool music and like,
Old videos of the Disney parade.
makes you wonder if there's more to this. It's like it really
Nope,
doesn't.
it's just abandoned and they've
it's
opened
literally
Animal Kingdom.
just Disney makes $1 billion and they made a
Island.
bigger version and they can afford to let that island get decrepit and small and there's no use for it. But of course, like this there's definitely people that are like, oh,
I'm so glad that
we
this
got to
wasn't
go down there and
something worse.
sneak onto the island. Yeah, it's like this secret pedo ring going on around.
I hear it.
Yeah.
Just let me live in my little magical bubble.
Do you know about Manitoba's most famous UFO sighting? The story of Stefan Mahalik is one of the most credible UFO cases in the world. You can visit the famous site of the Falcon Lake encounter on a horseback riding tour with Falcon Beach Ranch. The Falcon Lake encounter began on May 19, 1967, when amateur geologist Stefan headed into the bush of Whiteshell Provincial Park.
I was not expecting a beat to drop for the UFO that I was expecting. I was just not expecting that beat. A little bit off-putting, I want to say. I wanted just that stupid whistle to just persist forever. But now I have to hear like a trap beat behind it. Not UFO-y of them.
In search of precious minerals. He later emerged covered in burns, heaving with sickness, a victim to the unexplained. Stefan had witnessed something unbelievable, an abnormal explosion that burned his clothing and his skin with radiation, leaving a strange grid-like pattern and a series of illnesses in the years to come. Stefan reported seeing two cigar-shaped objects hovering 45 meters away, one which landed and changed shape as the other flew away. Stefan approached...
I just am so tired of like, listen, I'm not saying that UFOs don't exist and aliens aren't cool and they're gonna like fly to the country, but show me some real footage, right? Show me a cell phone footage, 4K, of a little alien finger creeping out of the UFO. None of this like telephone account of something that happened in 1963 from Stefan and he saw something that looked like a cigarette. Stefan was an alcoholic drug addict, okay? He was fucked up in the woods and fell into a fireplace and burned his body. And now it's somehow become a story that I have to consume on TikTok and pretend like it matters. Shut the up!
Maybe you missed it, but the internet died 5 years ago.
Oh, this is a good one.
I cannot believe we have not talked about the dead internet theory on TikTok before.
Oh, dead internet theory.
Nobody's talked about it, only you.
Jason on Arca, he's one of my favorite accounts. So this article's from The Atlantic. It's actually from 2021. So maybe updated title is 8 years ago. But basically this unpacks the conspiracy theory that basically everything online is turning into bots. Dead internet theory suggests that the internet has been almost entirely taken over by artificial intelligence. I feel like compared to 2021, this is way more believable in the year 2024. You know, there's articles coming out about AI generated music and bots streaming these songs, bots on Twitter. The article also mentions bots on YouTube inflating views for certain accounts. Basically, it feels like there is bots and AI-generated content just everywhere online. But
so this is stupid because, yes, that's true. There's bots doing things all of the time.
Like, this isn't news.
For the reason of metrics. And, yeah, there's AI bots that can stream music and do customer service. But, like, this idea that bots have taken it over and humans no longer use it?
Right,
what are we talking about?
Dead.
Have you ever been outside and looked at any human ever doing this all day long? We're all still using it.
I promise, we're real.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to talk about is the closing of this article.
Please.
You can just look for evidence of life. The best proof I have that the internet isn't dead is that I wandered into some weird website and found an absurd rant about how the internet is so dead. And I think that's so important to highlight. So many of us have gotten stuck in the just like basic algorithms, whether it be the For You pages, Explore pages that all these different social media platforms have, that we forget that there are these like weird, wacky sites out there. It's just that these places have kind of gone into the shadows with all of these bigger platforms kind of controlling not only where we connect with people, but how we consume the news and interact with everyone in our lives.
That is a valid point to that. And I will say, like, the internet has become just a few big conglomerates that kind of curate everything for us. And we can put up stuff and we have kind of a little bit of control over what we see. But back when I was a kid growing up, like, you had to go on the internet and type in a specific web address.
Yeah, there wasn't even like a search.
Yeah, and nobody, now everything, you're either pulling up a social media app to find something or you're pulling up a search engine. So there is an element of like this huge part of the web that exists that you can find through specific domains and website addresses and FTPs and stuff that are just dead now, are just probably gone forever unless you know how to get to them because everything has been centralized in these huge companies. I don't know, that part to me is curious. She said it in kind of a weird way, but
so much noise everywhere that we forget that there's actually fun places online with no bots. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. Do you believe in the dead internet theory? And also, what are some of your favorite weird, wacky corners?
I don't know, it's the dead internet theory, but the internet has changed drastically as people have become more connected in the social media, the apps and the battle for people's attention has changed the way we behave on the internet quite drastically as well. Let's see what this broad has to say about the Lava Lake murders.
The strangest unsolved mysteries from each state. Today, by popular demand, we have Oregon. And yeah, it's Oregon, so I could tell you about Bigfoot or Ted Bundy, but we're gonna do something a little more interesting. I am going to tell you about the Little Lava Lake murders. Bleh. Ed, Roy, and Dewey were all trappers, and for 3 months in the winter, they would stay in their cabin at Little Lava Lake and do their job. When spring came around, friends and family of the men would come up and visit them. And when they all arrived, the 3 men would normally greet them, but it didn't happen this time. While everybody was looking for them, somebody ventured into the trapper's shed and found a blood-stained hammer. As they looked more, they discovered a patch of snow with blood in it. And as they dug down a few inches deeper, in the slush was a human tooth mixed with human hair. Once the snow had melted, they were walking on the ice that was covering the lake, and they discovered a hole that had been dug in the ice, and that is where they disposed of the bodies. That hole had been cut in the dead of winter. The bodies were wrapped in muslin and, I quote, fiendishly butchered. I'm running out of time, but part 2 is coming right now. The strangest unsolved...
Okay, that's literally TikTok in a nutshell. I'm gonna delete that godforsaken app. This is such a big part of the year. People love this. This I want to read though.
People can love it all they want.
I want to read this because I was the perfect age to be completely psyoped by Y2K.
Completely.
And my parents,
No, I get it.
My parents were so psyoped by Y2K.
That is so funny.
Dude, Y2K is one of the biggest psychological operations in modern history, a manufactured crisis that never happened but conditioned the world for future hoaxes. Governments, corporations, and the media pushed mass hysteria, claiming computers would fail at midnight on January 1st, 2000, leading to financial collapse, power grid failures, and even nuclear disasters. It sounds insane if you didn't live through it.
Yeah.
But yes, there were people who were writing books about it. If you're young, you probably don't even know that this was a thing. Because like I feel like it's not really talked about.
They wouldn't get it completely.
No, but the idea was that since computers had kind of taken over the world slowly, it's laughable to say that now because this was the 90s.
Your Mac friend, Brent Rambo.
But everything, every database, everything with a date was on a 2-digit like 05, 26, 83. And the fact that once it got to 99, since it wasn't,
gonna go 0,
a lot
0.
of these databases didn't have 4 digits to be like 1999 to 2000. It was going to go back down to 0. And it was going to basically break every database that was important in all of these crucial operations. Nuclear codes, like nukes were going to launch randomly. Like it sounds crazy to say, but it was like people were legitimately scared the world was going to fail. Was Y2K just a mistake, or was it a carefully orchestrated task to see how easily people could be manipulated? It set the blueprint for future fear-based control. 9/11, the 2008 financial crash, COVID-19, where governments expanded power, corporations profited, and the masses complied. While the world was distracted by a crisis that never materialized, the elites were restructuring financial systems, expanding surveillance, and refining the art of mass panic. Y2K wasn't about computer errors, it was about social engineering, a dry run for the digital enslavement we see unfolding today. There is a type of person that thinks every disaster ever is some sort of planned conditioning by the elites to control people. I don't think everything bad that happens is on purpose by some sort of elite class that's trying to control the plebs. I do think that when bad things happen, a lot of these corporations are opportunistic and find ways to maximize profits in terrible situations. There's a lot of stuff that I don't know.
Y2K,
Conspiracies are funny,
were,
man. Y2K was a funny one though.
Right?
We straight up were buying cans of Dinty Moore beef stew. Canned goods. We had shelves of canned goods in our basement.
That's him, not me. I just wasn't allowed to go out.
Bro, I was young. I mean, I was 15 going into this, so like I didn't really know what was going on. But there was God bless him, my folks get psyoped pretty hard. But like, here's the deal. We weren't like living in a doomsday bunker. It was more like a gentle preparation, just in case. Couple of canned goods. Who knows how long the world's gonna be in disarray.
Couple tinfoil hats.
12 o'clock midnight hits.
A flautist, Peter.
Nothing.
12:01. All right, moving on.
Might I tell you, we were eating Dinty Moore beef stew for quite a while. That shit was delicious, but kind of fattening when I think about it now. Anyways, conspiracies are crazy. Maybe some of them are true. I don't have the time to figure out which ones are, and I don't have the mental bandwidth to be spending all my days going down these rabbit holes. Some people love it. And also, if you're gonna talk to me about aliens, just show me like a 4K video of it. I don't want to hear about John Cena's older uncle from 1973 that was a raging lunatic that saw a UFO one time. No one gives a shit about that. But I give a shit about you and the fact that you actually made it to the end of this video. You must
What about me? I made it to the end of this video,
You must be
too.
very depraved if you're still here. You are
Hanging on by a thread.
hanging on by a thread. If you guys don't know by now, Mrs. Lush is like the anti-UFO tinfoil hat type of person ever. She just completely See you later, I'm gone. I kind of go down the rabbit hole sometimes, so it's a little fun for me. But until the next time, I bid you had